The word Christian was originally used as a slur meant to dishonor those who followed the teachings of a crucified criminal of the Roman Empire. There's a myth that's being perpetuated right now on social media that the word Christian doesn't appear in the Bible. But in fact, the term Christian, to identify followers of Jesus' teachings, is mentioned in the Bible 3 times. And it isn't just mentioned 3 times, it's mentioned in every single translation of the Bible 3 times. The name Christian is used in Acts 11:26, Acts 26:28, and in 1 Peter 4:16. So right there, 3 verses in the Bible, every translation that mention the name Christian to distinguish a group of people. And of course, we all know what Christian is supposed to mean nowadays, a follower of Christ. But this leads to a very interesting subject because most Christians don't know why they're called Christian. Because it's generally agreed upon that at first, the followers of Christ weren't called Christians, but were simply Jews who believed that Jesus was the Messiah. But as the faith quickly grew, Jesus' followers soon came to be known as belonging to the Way. And that's Acts 9:2, 19:9, and 22:4. Early followers of Jesus were also referred to as Nazarenes. Paul said to be a Nazarene and the ringleader of the sect of Nazarenes in Acts 24:5. So how did we land on the word Christians to describe ourselves? Because Jesus never called us that. The first time in the Bible followers of Christ are referred to as Christians is in Acts 11:26, which occurred in Antioch, which was at the time the 3rd largest city in the Roman Empire. And Antioch was nice, okay? Herod the Great had paved over 2 miles of its streets with marble, and it had beautiful colonnades from end to end. 2 miles of road made of marble. Swanky. The story goes that after the disciple Stephen was martyred around 34-35 AD, a large population of followers of the Way fled Jerusalem and set up shop in Antioch, which is in Syria. So when they got to Antioch, immediately they began ministering and converting both Gentiles and Jews. But just because they weren't stoning Jesus believers in the streets in Antioch, it didn't mean that they had rolled the red carpet out, right? In fact, Antioch was the 3rd largest imperial city, and it had a huge imperial cult where Roman citizens honored their emperors as divine. So a whole bunch of Jesus freaks rolling into a Roman city that didn't honor the emperor as divine, they were naturally going to have a rough go of it. So when the Antiochans threw the word Christian at believers, it was meant as like a sneer of disdain because they didn't acknowledge the emperor of Rome as a god. Some historians even suggest that the name Christian came from the Greek speakers in Antioch taking the word Christos, Christ, our anointed one, and using it in a mocking tone. Little Christs, little anointed ones. So the word Christian was used as a slur meant to dishonor those who followed the teachings of Jesus Christ, implying that they were mere followers of a weak and passive crucified criminal. Because in the Roman world, crucifixion was a shameful and degrading form of punishment reserved for the lowest class of criminals. So being associated with Christ carried this stigma. Early Christians were seen as a very peculiar sect within Judaism and were often misunderstood and ridiculed for their beliefs, especially their devotion to someone that had been convicted and executed. But the believers in Antioch actually did what Jesus said do. The whole when an enemy strikes you, you offer them the other side of your cheek thing. So instead of attacking back, they received the insult and instead used it as an identifier. And soon that's what they came to be known as. Christians. And then when Peter kind of threw his backing behind it over the term Nazarenes, it stuck. So what started as an insult eventually would become something proudly proclaimed. Josephus was the first to coin the term outside the Bible. There's also Pliny the Younger's letter to Trajan and the historian Tacitus who wrote, by vulgar appellation they were commonly called Christians. So there you have it, a word that was considered a slur, which came to proudly represent a people of faith. Kind of like a man that was hung on a cross, the ultimate sign of shame in the Roman Empire, who rose from the dead and took his place on the throne. God bless. You are loved. See you soon.